and acquisitions. But out of all the crises that I've seen, right, I think this one is really different. And I think we really have to think about how we're going to lead and sell effectively during the crisis. And let me share with you one of the key differences compared to current crisis with all the last one that I had. The main difference is the coronavirus and lockdown. I think in the past, so many years, we have not seen anything like this. And this is the first time we are experiencing the lockdown. And what it means is many businesses have to stop operating during this time. And many people are very conscious in spending money in view on the very uncertain future. So if you look at the whole coronavirus pandemic itself, there's actually a lot of uncertainty present. There are a few areas. I think one area of uncertainty is actually the timeline. We don't know when is this pandemic is going to end. Actually, nobody can tell. So there are also some financial experts actually predict that the impact is going to last more than 6 to 12 months. So I think it's crucial for every single business to really think about how are we going to do business. For sales leader to think about how are we going to sell and lead effectively during this time. When I present this presentation, I actually focus on a few areas. I put myself in sales leader shoes and business owner shoes. I think the few questions that in most of our mind is that, how do I manage my business and target at this moment? Because despite the business lockdown, people are less cautious, more cautious about spending money. My target is still running. I still have to pay wages, pay salary. Let me ask most all of you here, can you share with me what are some of the key concerns that you have in mind apart from these 4 questions? Anyone want to share? What is your key concern in leading your team, your organization, your sales team during this time? Yeah. Anyone want to share? We are still waiting for a few people to come in. That's why I think it's good for us to start some discussions before everyone comes in.
Yeah, good morning for those who have just logged in. My name is Sue Boy. Today we have Winnie with us who will be talking about how to lead and sell during the crisis time. So there is a chat box at the bottom. Please type your name and which company you're from. And also we will be communicating and interacting in such a way. In the chat box, can you put in your name and where you're from? Yeah.
Okay, let's do a roll call. Can I have someone from, anyone from retail line? Anyone from retail line, construction line, engineering sales, industry sales, application line? I think these are some of the industry I saw from the participant list, right? Any one of you would like to share? What are some of the key challenges that you're facing now or top problems that in your mind?
As they say, he's from the engineering industry supply. Thank you for coming in, Tay. So we have a question from Winnie. What are some of the challenges and problems that you have in sales and marketing now?
Hi, Tay.
So they're still coming in. If you already know, maybe you can share some of the problems. That this will be a good input. And Winnie will be able to determine or be clearer and sharper and to answer your specific questions based on your portfolio. So let's say during MCO period, difficult to reach out to new customers. So that is one of the...
Today, in industry supply sales, right? Can I ask you, even after MCO lifted, right? Like now, I think the government has announced that, many industry that actually can resume to normal with condition, of course. Do you foresee your customer are actually willing to see you after MCO lifted in the next 2 to 3 months?
Good morning, guys. I think this is going to be the biggest challenge. I don't think the customer would like to meet any supplier unless it is really necessary.
Yeah.
So I have just shared just now is new customer. As you know, the existing customer, definitely the business are going to be affected. from our existing customer. Yeah, so we need new customer to come in, and the challenge is, how do we able to go and meet up with this new customer? Yeah, where they are really reluctant to meet any visitor to their office. So I think this is going.
So how many of you have this concern, right? Even your existing customer also reluctant to see you in the next 3 months, I think. Yeah, until maybe even until the vaccine is discovered. How many of you worry about the same? Customer engagement and customer not willing to see, despite MCO lifted. We are still waiting for people to come in. Let's start the discussion on this area. Yeah. So they, in your industry, right? This is definitely one of the challenges. I think not only in engineering sales or industry sales. I think from pharma, from even from a lot of other industry, yeah, we are all facing the same thing, right? So in your opinion, what are some of the things that you think that the company can do? Before I share my viewpoint on that, yeah. Or anyone want to help? Anyone want to discuss on this? We're waiting for the rest to come in. Yeah.
I think.
Hello.
Who is talking?
Then you're actually doing the wow and power transmissions, right? Selling
Yes,
palm
correct.
oil, latex manufacturing, industrial water treatment, right?
Yeah, that's right. Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why we are here today. Try to learn from each other. What are the method or strategy that we can deploy after the MCO?
Yeah, because I think in my scope on my discussion for the next 90 minutes, right, I'm going to cover the whole aspect on sales leadership, you know, in terms of managing this crisis and managing the team. So in terms of customer engagement, there will be a part of it, right? So it's not a dedicated topic for this, but I will touch on that. Yeah, because I think this crisis is going to create a lot of new norms. I think the new term is new norms, right? Even though our customer engagement is going to go into a new phase. Yeah, I think a lot of industry, we have to prepare ourselves, you know, to move into a little bit on virtual selling. We have to be really innovative with our solutions, right? Like for example, you know, I can share with you one of my clients is they actually quickly shift it into virtual sales, in the sense that they used to see customer to propose a solution, right? But now, rather than go and see customer, rather than going into face-to-face meet, they're actually doing webinars, you know, to introduce some new solutions. But I think the challenge is, how are you going to attract people to sit into your webinar, right? I think that's a new challenge, right? This is where I think later on in my discussions, you know, I feel that in this crisis, your company, different departments, right? Even for your marketing, your sales, you know, or even your communication teams, I don't know what kind of department your company have. Basically, everybody have to sit down and think about, at this moment, right, what values we can add to the customer that we can put down in our sales pitch and in our presentation that can bring our customer to come to our virtual platform. Yeah, I mean, in short, if you ask me for my view, I think this will be the key one. Because a lot of customers are not ready for that. They're still leaving the reps, you know, to go out and using the same sales pitch, the same material. But don't forget, you know, everyone is new in this. So rather than leaving it on the, what I call it as a free flow, I think it should be a little bit on consolidated and top-down directions on the sales team on, hey, if you've got to engage your sales team virtually, how, right? What are we going to talk, right? How are we going to change our sales pitch? Yeah. Yeah, this is something I will touch on later on. Yeah, I think we have got 21 people now in.
Okay, we can start.
We can start now? Okay. So for those who came in later, just a quick introduction of myself. You know, my name is Winnie Cho, and I've been in sales and marketing for 25 years. And the purpose of this 90 minutes webinar is to share with you my perspective on how a leader can lead the sales team at this time. So I was just sharing with the group earlier, this crisis, in my opinion, is by far the worst compared to the last few that I have experienced. I think the major difference is the coronavirus and lockdown. And that actually have a great impact in terms of a lot of the practices that we have. I think the first practices we have discussed with Dave just now and with the rest of the group is, a lot of customers, first of all, they're not going to see us. Even after the MCO lifted, right, people will try to practice social distancing. That will be the new norm, which means that if I can avoid to see supplier, I do not want to see. There must be a need, there must be a value for me to see someone, right? Because I want to practice social distancing, you know, I want to avoid risk. So I think this is one of the key long-term impact for at least for the next 3 to 12 months. The other impact is actually on the financial part. Because with this lockdown, a lot of jobs has been affected and the company revenue has dropped. So which means, in general, all the business and consumer are very conscious in spending money. So again, during this time, how are we going to operate? So when I draft my presentation for this 90 minutes, I actually put 4 top questions in my mind, you know, and I hope to give you some insight on how. The first one is, how do I manage my business and target? Because even though it's lockdown, your target's still going. You still have to pay for your people. Okay, you still have to pay for your fixed costs, your expenses. So how? Second is, will my business survive? Honestly, I'm not going to give you a magic bullet here, okay? That after you listen to the talk, you know, you have everything's ready, you know, to keep your business survive. Because at this moment, whether your business can survive or not, it really depends on how fundamentally strong is your business. Number one, is your cash flow. Is your cash flow sufficient to at least manage, you know, the next 3 to 6 months, okay? And number two, is also how ready are your fundamental in terms of your sales team, your people capability, your culture. They're able to change and adapt right away. I think the adaptability is the key here. Number three is, is how do I support my sales team at this time, right? And how do I better prepare my team to face the crisis? So with these 4 questions, I actually frame my next 90 minutes into two key topics. First, I want to give you some perspective on importance of sales leadership during crisis. I will have 1 slide to share with you my perspective on what good sales leaders look like, what competency they need to have. And number 2, I'm going to share with you how to manage the 3 major time frames in terms of during MCO, after MCO, or even moving forward, okay? So the first thing, you know, let's talk about sales leadership. Can I check how many of you are actually managing salespeople, right? Maybe it's a group of few salespeople. How many of you managing salespeople directly or indirectly? Can I have some response? You can type in your chat groups. Okay. Tay, okay. Zainuddin, yes, yes. Soon. All right. Okay. So we have quite a few people actually managing the sales team. Okay. The second question to you is, what are the competency do you think leader must have? Okay. Important one to make them a very good sales leader, the top of the notch sales leader. Can you list down those key competencies they must have? Right? Yeah. Can you list down the key competency the sales leader must have to be the top-notch sales leader? In the new era, we are in a very different era now. Yeah. Visions, yeah. Very good. I think soon. Any more? Inspirations, Kelvin. Okay. Right. Any more? Zainuddin, what do you think will be the key one? Provide hope and clear directions. Okay, so guys, thank you very much for sharing that. Okay, this is something I came up with, right, after about 20 over years in sales. I asked myself this question. I say, if I go to teach someone about sales leadership, what am I going to teach? If someone were to ask me this question, I want to be great sales leader, what must I do? So these are the 4 quadrants of competency I came up with. I think number 1, everybody know, you want to be really good sales leader, you must manage people and talent. Not only manage, right? You have to select the right one, coach, develop, or even manage, the bad apples, right? And build your talents in the team. The other one is customer management, process management. Okay, this one everybody know. The third one is actually setting the right direction. Setting right direction is very important, right? And that directions must be able to align with your future. And this is where it leads to sales leadership and culture. And if you look at it, this 4 quadrant, there are some leaders are very good with people manager. They are very good people managers. But when it comes to the managing the business in a systematic way, they are not so strong. So you will see somebody but very big in this segment, but very small in the lower segment. And out of the 4 quadrants, I would say that, one that is the least focused or least, most ignored is actually the sales leadership and culture. That's why I was so glad when Chia and Calvin mentioned our vision and inspiration. Because a lot of time people thought the culture is something that is the higher management job, HR job. But from my experience, in any situation, especially crisis situation, your sales culture, your company culture play a big part on whether you can survive, right? On whether that culture, that behavior is going to support you to raise above the challenges or not. So guys, in this crisis, I just want to share this slide with you to remind you that all these things have to come in place during the crisis, okay? So with that, let me just go straight into the during lockdown periods in terms of sales leadership. Okay, now lockdown already over almost 2 months now, okay? Can I have some sharing from all of you? During the lockdown, what are some of the things that you and your team have done? Or what kind of directions that you actually have set for your team? Okay, let me repeat my question. During this lockdown period, 60 days, what are some of the things that you and your team have done? Okay, directions, I think they're very good. You have given directions. Any others? 60 days is a long time. It's good for us to do a checklist on whether you have done well in this area. Communications? Okay. Anything else? Okay, guys, this one is served as a checklist for you on to see whether you have done or maximized your team during this time, right? I think the first thing for sales leadership, right, in any crisis situation is to provide clarity. I think just now, Dave, you mentioned direction. Direction is right because sales leadership, it also means that provide clarity for the team. Now there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of unclear things that are ahead of us. But as a leader, you have to give the direction and give the clarity. So I think the first thing we have to list down is a central list of priority that your team need to do. Okay, can you give me some example of what are some of the lists, what are some of the priority that's in your list? Guys, can you give me some example for this crisis, managing this crisis, right? What are some of the priority that you have listed down? Anyone? Safety, okay. Very good. I think Zanati, you're spot on. Anything else as a key priority? Cash flow, which include your collections, for those who are doing collections. Okay. Any others? Any others? Okay. Right. Okay. So guys, if you ask me, the way I look at the situation is this. This lockdown, even though after lifted, right, your team may not be able to completely go back on what they used to do very well. What they used to do very well is a face-to-face interaction with the customer. And that part is going to be impacted. So you need to take that into considerations. So if you ask my opinion, in the list of priorities, right, I think number 1, it should be safety. I think Zanati, you're spot on. Number 2 is actually financial. I think soon you're right in terms of cash flow, in terms of collections. And number 3 and 4, right, which is something I have not seen anybody responded, is your Salesforce capability, okay? And how are you going to use this time to get them ready when the crisis is? where the MCOs is lifted, what capability you need to build. Because during this lockdown period, everybody is like, only can work from home. They will have capacity to do something else because they cannot be calling customer every day. So you need to look into staff capability as one of the priority. And the fourth one is actually on the engaging the customer. I think we have to think, how are we going to engage the customer, which I'm going to touch more later on. The other one is, I think risk also very important. You have to think about what is the risk this crisis have to the organization. All of us has budget, right? So the first thing I will probably do is I will look at my forecast number for this year to see what is the risk to my top line number and the bottom line number. Top line is basically your revenue. Bottom line is basically your profit that you need to deliver. And I think it's always good to proactively look at this, because if you proactively look at this, right, you can actually manage better if you notice there's a big gap. Let me share with you a situation. I was talking to one of my mentors earlier who run an SME business. Even back in last year, September, he told me he foresee 2020 is going to be a very tough year. That is before the virus outbreak. He see that, he foresee the business is going to drop, there will be risk to the organizations. So what he did was he actually sold one of the house just to prepare the cash flow for the needed time. So, of course, I'm not asking everybody to go to that extent, but I think the key thing is, have you assessed your organization risk? In business perspective, I have done similar on this. There's one particular year, I think during the year 2000, our company faced, during the financial crisis, our company revenue was really down, because the government actually stopped spending money and we lost big tender in the government. So when I look at that situation, we know that that year, we are going to lose in terms of our top line revenue, and we may not be able to deliver our bottom line revenue. So if you are MMC, the headquarter will come in pressure already. The headquarter will tell you that if you cannot deliver the top line revenue, can you deliver the profit? So we foresee that coming, we foresee that risk. So we proactively actually manage that. We start with very prudent spending. All our prudent actually spending, marketing spending, we actually very careful. We cut the fat unnecessary. Number two is we proactively actually manage our headcount. In view on the business drop, any resignation, we are not filling up the position. So we try to save money in terms of the headcount, okay? And true enough, I think 2 months, 3 months after we implemented the initiative, the headquarter actually came in and asked us to cut 10% of the field force. So I used to handle 200 rep. 10% is probably about, 5% of the field force. 5% is probably about, 10 people. But because we proactively manage our number, manage our expenses, we are able to negotiate for the headquarter not to do retrenchment, but let us do natural attrition, which means that we proactively manage our resignation and slowly cut down our number within 3 months. So this is how we actually manage to avoid one of the tragedy of retrenchment. So guys, you need to prepare, by analyzing your risk. The other top 3 one in the plan is, as a sales leader at this time, any move that you take is very important. So you need to think about execution, your very precise plan. What activity are you going to do? Create the metrics and demonstrate how do you do it. So a lot of time people look at these 3 items and say this is given. I say yes, it's a given, but a lot of time this one also project one of the biggest gap. Okay, because if you want to make sure your execution are very, very strong and successful, right, you need to demonstrate how to. This is one of the key sharing I want to share with you. I will give you an example. One of my clients actually asked me to do a sales leadership training. So when I talked to the GM, I said, what is your key strategy for this year? Because I want to understand the business direction. So he told me one of the key strategy they are implementing, he called it ABC. Okay, ABC. So I said, what is ABC? So he told me ABC is for all my A customer, very strong, good customer, I want to at least do 1 partnership initiative. B customer, I want to do high level of activities. Okay, he said maybe at least 3 activities, you know, in the quarter. And C customer, he told me he want to be very selective and maybe people only select those to see. So let me ask you, his direction of ABC strategy, is it clear for the people to implement or not? Is that clear? Can I have some response? This ABC strategy, is it clear for people for implementation? If you're the managers, if you are the salespeople, is that clear? They say very clear, okay. Any other response? Lagi ada tak respond? Anybody think it's not clear? Okay, Zainati is not clear. Okay, right. Okay, in the actual training, when I actually taught them about certain the sales objective, you know, taught them how to implement activity, the manager actually give me feedback on this. They say, okay, now we understand why we do not understand what we don't understand. I said, what do you mean? He said, my bosses told us ABC initiative, but actually we do not understand how to implement it. So the real feedback from the skill is, I'm talking about manager, it's not even right. Huh? He said, they do not understand what the GM mean is an ABC. Why? Because there's no demonstration of how to. He said, we know we want partnership, but what kind of partnership? We don't understand how to do partnership, right? And how do we select the A customer? And what kind of activity is considered good for this? He said, we don't know, we got no idea, we have never done partnership before, right? And even for Class C customer, you want us to see some important one, but what is considered important? So guys, one of the things I want to highlight is, in whatever execution that you're doing, you must make sure the execution is correct and your direction is very clear, aligned with your objective. So in my upcoming training on how to align sales activity to result, I'm going to elaborate a lot on that, on how you're going to set the objective and how to align your activity to make sure everybody do the same. And the last part is actually communication is very important. I think just one of you mentioned communication. Let me ask you, our DG of Health, Deputy General of Health, right, Noor Hisham, has been voted as one of the top 3 doctors in the world to combat COVID-19. Let me ask you, what made him so successful, you know, in this aspect? How do you find his communication for Noor Hisham? Why do we think that he did so well in this crisis in managing the COVID-19? Anyone? Think about Noor Hisham, you know, our new national hero, become the top 3 doctor in the world being recognized. It's very clear and certain there, you're right. So if you really look at his communication, right, it actually consists of C232. Look at the number 6 item here. As a leader during the crisis, you need to provide clarity. So what he did was, he come out regularly, every day he make a consistent announcement. Every day, same time, there will be announcement from him, which is very timely. And if you notice, his communication are very transparent. He does not over dramatize the situation. He talk facts. He talk facts and he tell you where are we and what are we going to do. And all his messages are very consistent. So it's similarly, he also communicates in easy language that everybody knows. So if you look at it, in leadership, it's the same thing. In corporate, at this time, you have to make sure your communication is timely, transparent, very clear, and consistent. Let me ask you, does all of you have a communications timetable with your people? Like 1 week, how many days we have to do telecom? 1 week, how many days we have to log in? What are we going to do for Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Anyone have a very clear communication strategy, including what we talk and when we talk about something? Anyone? Or your communication is ad hoc? Like, okay, only every Monday or just when needed? Okay, so Kelvin say yes. Okay, so guys, my recommendation is during this time, even after MCO is lifted, right, there should be a very clear communication timeline. Okay, right? Take for example, maybe 3 times a week, we will every day we log in. 3 times a week we talk about A. 2 times a week we probably do a product training or upgrading of the skill. So I think that pattern, that norm of communication, we need to establish. So any question on this sales leadership before I move to the next slide? Oh, okay. So, okay, the next thing, let me bring down to the leading the team during the lockdown or even right after MCO during the very short term of the next 3 months when people are still practicing social distancing. When you lead the sales team, you have to think about how to maintain morale and drive productivity. So we have identified the list of priority as a sales leader. The next thing we have to think about, how are we going to translate the new priority into the new KPI for the sales team during this time? Okay, so your priority depends on your business, really depends on the nature of business. It can be on sales, because no matter how, you still have to have a sales target there, okay? But the question is whether you need to adjust your target or not. This will be another dynamic. Your collection target, your sales force competency, your customer engagement and relationship. So I will urge all of you, right, during this time, you should focus on at least these 4 major primary KPI for yourself and also for your team. Okay, and finding ways to reach customer. So now I know during the lockdown, a lot of customers are not seeing you. Even after the MCO, unlikely they're going to see you unless they absolutely have a need. So you need to think about how to reach the customer. So just now we have a little bit earlier discussion on this. If you ask my opinion, right? Okay, now I will talk about the sales target later. Okay, talking about reaching the customer, I think we have to ask ourselves a few questions based on your business. First of all, you ask yourself, if you are the customer during the lockdown period, or even during now, semi-lockdown period from now to May 12, or even in June or July, will your customer want to see you happily? Is your product urgent enough for them want to see you or not? You have to think from the customer perspective, right? Take for example, I was from pharma. So one of my clients was asking me this question. So I told them, I said, look, if I'm the customer, I want to practice social distancing. If there's no absolutely need to see you, I probably don't want to see you, because that should be the way, right? Yeah, unless it's an essential discussion I need to have with you. So the next question is, then what are we going to do? So my advice is, you need to look at very creatively on a certain thing. Creatively, like for example, are you going to use a phone call to call the customer? Are you going to use the email? Are you going to use the teleconference like Zoom, Skype or whatever? So I think this is the first thing you need to think about, right? How are you going to reach? And the second thing, I think the first thing a lot of people already done. A lot of people will say, everybody is doing call, email and all that. But my second question is, even though you call your customer, your rep call and email, do they know what to call, what to email or not? So let me ask you another question here. Do you think salespeople know how to call or email the customer professionally during this time that can engage the customer? Do you know all the reps know how to call, how to email at this time? Or even how to do a virtual presentation at this time? Do you think everybody know? All the reps know? Can I have some response on this? I mean, it's already 2 months we are into an LCO. Your rep could be already doing some of this thing already. Okay. So I think I get very consistent response for all my 4 groups. The answer almost everybody say, is we are doing it, but not sure whether we are doing it right. Some reps know how to do, some reps don't know how to do. Okay. I think this one, if you ask me, I think the sales management, the sales leader need to help the reps to set a direction. Let me give you one point to consider. If you are the customer, do you want to hear your reps calling you, talking about features and benefits, pushing products to sell or not? There, Kevin, soon. Do you think you're the customer, you want to hear from your rep pushing product, features, benefit at this time? Right, not say no. So no, okay, so no, right? If no, then the next question is, so how is the rep going to call? What are they going to talk? So my suggestion is this. Number one, you determine your core objective. Depends on your business, depends on your business, okay? If your business is an essential item, your core objective may be to make sure your customer have the stock ready to serve their customer. But if your business, like for engineering sales, if you are selling water, valve, or power transmission, something that already have, is nothing linked to the COVID-19, is not life and death for them to see you now, then the question is, if you want to set your core objective during the lockdown period, what could be it, right? One of the debate I was having with my client is this. I was recommending my client and say, look, I say you may want to do the very drastic. Depends on your risk level. I told my client, I say, if you already know your client is not willing to push for features and benefit, not willing to hear about this, why not you focus on taking care of your customer at this time? That means you change your core objective into taking care of your customer, showing your customer I care and I'm concerned, right? Which means that during this time, maybe you can teach your rep, to send in personal messages, caring messages to let them know that, hey, we are actually here to support. If anything on this area you need, let us know. So guys, I cannot tell you whether this is the right approach for your business or not. You need to determine. If your item is still essential, you may still want to make sure that you do a bit selling. But if your business are not essential, you may want to use into engaging the customer, making them know that you have them in your mind. Basically, you want to buy them over in terms of emotional, in terms of support, so that when the MCO is lifted, they know that, hey, this rep has been caring about me, right? So let me give you another example. Recently, I received one email from one of my clients. He thought because they sent a blast email to all their contacts. And that email is this: I am from X company. My company has been around for the last 20 years. And we have this range of products, the whole list of products. If you are interested, please contact us. So let me ask you, when you see this message, right, this email, do you think this email serves any purpose at this time? Any purpose? It doesn't serve any purpose. But this guy is spending this email to everybody. So it's basically become non-productive. So my recommendation is, from now until even the next 2-3 months, the management may need to sit down and identify your core objective, come up with a script to teach your rep how to engage with the customer, maybe even centralize some of the contents, right? Some of the contents that you think the customer will be interested. So if you ask me, at this time, it shouldn't be a free flow. You should have a bit of control, a bit of direction on what to write, what to talk, what to say, okay? Any question on this? If no question, right, the next thing I want to talk about is, during this time, you may want to redeploy your sales team effort. Because during the MCO, even in the next 3 months, right, your rep time will not be occupied wholly by face-to-face meeting already. So the question is, what is your rep going to do next? You're paying your rep, right? You need the productivity. So I will suggest you to look at the activity that can bring in sales one. For example, do you spend this time at home when your rep is not seeing the customer? Ask them to prepare with the prospecting list. Relook at all the CRM customers database. Maybe even to develop virtual sales script. I think virtual sales script is very important. You may want to develop that. Or even customer solution brainstorming with your marketing team or with you. So I think important thing is you must spend a little bit of time engaging the rep, thinking about how are we going to sell effectively. So think about these few items. Redeploy the sales force effort into customer solution. sales script, virtual sales script developments, relook at your prospect list, even relook at your customer list if you are changing your products of focus. Okay, the next one, the last one is actually the sales forecast, sales quota, and incentive consideration. Now I heard you mentioned that at this time how to set target. Even though it's very difficult, but I think as a sales leader, we must do a forecast, right? You maybe you want to do a best scenario, mid scenario, or worst scenario, right? So you may need to have 2 to 3 scenarios, and looking at that, how are you going to manage your number, right? So it's not easy, but you still need to do that. But the next thing we have to ask about is, if we are changing our forecast, which I think most of us are going to change our forecast number compared to before the MCO, what are you going to do with the rep target? Are you going to change your rep target? If you're going to change your rep target, are you going to change your rep incentive? So all these are critical questions. I think during this time, during the lockdown, before we go full force to go and see the customer, we have to get it sorted out. Because your rep want clarity. And some of your salespeople, 40–50% of the income are from incentive. So I think it's good to give the clarity. And how are you going to manage this target and incentive is based on your company management philosophy, right? Because for some company, they say that we do not pay anything below 100%. We do not change our target. To me, it's fine, but you still need to communicate to your sales team to make them to understand, you know, we are in a tough situation. Please bear with it, right? And as long as we got a job, we should be grateful. You know, I think it's true for a lot of business at this time. So you make sure you need to talk about it. Don't sweep under the carpet. Bring it up so that people got a chance to express and hear your view. Incentive is, again, is the same thing. You know, can you afford? If you cannot afford, it's about survival. There's nothing to talk about. You know, it's just about survival, communicating, making the rep understand we are in the thing together. We are in the storm together. Let's, you know, get through the storm before we talk about incentive. So guys, this is something that if you have not done your forecast, I think we still have, right? Even though your forecast is 50% down from your normal, you still have to put it down. Because if not, you do not know how long you can go. You cannot manage, you know, in terms of your revenues, you cannot manage in terms of your bottom line, okay? So guys, any questions on this slide? Okay, so I think one of the key things I just want to remember everybody is, whatever plan you're going to implement, even though you say, I want the rep to call the customer, write to the customer, doing teleconference, do not assume your rep how to do it. You need to come up with the how first, and then implement it throughout the reps, right? I think that is the most important thing at this time. If not, your communication may backfire, you know, right? If it's communicated incorrectly. So now I want to move to the after lockdown period. So after lockdown period, I think the first thing is to engage with the customer. Just now we talked about engage with the customer. So now the question is this. You need to think from your customer's perspective, right? Like there, you know, you're selling valve and power transmission. You need to think, what are some of the pain points your customer have? Because like I mentioned, unless you can provide values, if not, your customer are not willing to see you. They may not even want to join your teleconference or maybe your Zoom meeting until they can see some value. So you need to understand your customer pain point here. Let me ask some of you this. What do you think is your customer pain point during this crisis? Think from your customer perspective. What do you think are the pain points? Anyone? What are the things they're suffering? No customer, okay, there's one. Cash flow, marketing budget, okay. Anything else? Survival. Okay, I think everybody got it right. As much as you are suffering, your customer is suffering. They're worried about disruption to the business. Maybe the contract are not going on, the project delay, their supply maybe have problems. So there's a lot of disruption. It's the same thing. When you're engaged, you're worried about what to do with your people. They're also worried about how do they collaborate with their remote worker in a new way. There may be travel restriction and also all the supply chain affected. Even though for them, they may have some big meeting, big conference, business meeting, all these things may need to cancel. Again, they worry about cash flow, payment, spending. So before you think about asking your rep, go out and really sell your product, right? I think it's the time that we really think about what is the customer pain point. And in my opinion is this, during the crisis time, it's a time that you build trust and establish credibility with your customer. Because in any crisis, it's not true that there's no sales, no opportunity. It's not true. In any crisis, the sales is still there, but it's just that the pie is getting smaller. Maybe in the past, the whole market is worth, let's say, 100 million, right? Maybe it's like a 10 inches pizza pie. It's a 10 inches pie. But now with the MCO, with the COVID-19, the pie getting smaller. From 10 million, maybe it shrink to 6 million. But the 6 million still there. So the question is, if the pie is so small, how do you increase your sales? In my opinion, the simplest way is, first of all, you protect your sales first, and secondly, you eat into your competitor sales, right? So in order to do this, whether you protect your own business or eat into your competitor sales, the first thing is to build trust and establish your credibility, especially during this new social distancing norm. So for me is, before your rep really go and see your customer face to face or whatever, you need to prepare your team proactively to know how to talk with the customer. I will call COVID-19 sales conversations. Rather than just go in and say that I want to sell my product, I would like to sell this new system, new power transmission system. But you know the customer probably, I'm already using one, I want to practice social distancing. I don't want to see you. That will be your customer response. So rather than going that way, for me, I will probably ask the rep to go and talk to the customer and say, hey, right, I understand the COVID-19 affecting all industry, and I'm sure your business is also affecting. I would like to call to see, is there anything that we can help you in this area? I think your approach should be, how am I going to help my customer? Your sales pitch should start from that point for people willing to listen to you. Okay, so prepare your rep to have conversation with your rep. Your first script, why you should listen to me, has to be around the customer needs. Okay, and the next thing is you have to coach your salespeople on how to handle the sales objections, COVID-19 objection. Because even though you ask your rep to go for collection, collect money, collect check, your customer is going to say this, I got no money, you got other bills in pay, can you come back next month? Or I will pay next month, but next month again don't pay. So how is your rep going to ask for collections in a professional manner without upsetting the relationship and with an outcome? So you need to teach your rep how to handle all these objections related to COVID-19. The other one is also on the appointment, okay? How are you going to get your reps to convince the customer to have an appointment, to have even to attend your Zoom meeting? So I think everything from there, it will start from a flow of your sales pitching, start from what can I offer for you? What kind of problem I can help you to solve? So one of the things I will probably work out during this time is a script for the rep to sell, to get an appointment, to get people attend Zoom meeting, to engage discussion on customer will be interested. So I think these are the few items that you need to brainstorm, based on your industry, come up with a script. The next thing is re-energize your solution to help with COVID-19. As I said, they have a pain point, you see. So you need to look at your solution. How is your solution going to attack the pain point? So in B2B sales, at this point, right, I can summarize the pain point into a few areas. The first area is their customer, right? They are worried about their customer satisfaction, their customer flow, their customer sales. So for them, they're worried about the customer. How can they keep their customer happy? The second concern they have is safety. Okay, right? How do they keep their people safe? And the third concern is operation effectiveness and efficiency. How can they save some money? How can they reduce the process more efficiently, reducing contact? So if I were you, I will probably look at the customer solution and look at my customer problem and my solution. And I do what you call, how do I connect the dot? I need to find a way to connect the dot. And this is where, when you coach your rep how to sell, this is where you need to focus on. Your sales pitch, everything has to focus on how do I connect the point between the pain of the customer facing and the solution I'm offering. So this is something that you need to change your selling approach, guys. Right? I think changing selling approach is the key one now. You cannot just go in and just talk about your product features and benefit. You have to go in to talk about how can I help you at this point of time, addressing some of your pain points. Your product may not change, but your benefit alignment with the pain point have to change. Okay? And get creative with your sales presentation. Work with marketing to come up with a virtual sales presentation slide. You know, your products, you know, it could be a slide, it could be a video, or even could be a let's say, for example, your industry no longer can have a group meeting, no longer to have industry conferences. How are you going to evolve it by using new technology? For example, maybe you need to do product demonstration, but you can't do product demonstration in their site because they're not willing to do that. Can you do your product demonstration through a video? Okay. Maybe your customer not keen to attend just a normal rep Zoom meeting. How can you structure the Zoom meeting topic into something that the customer are interested? So your Zoom meeting with your customer, it can be done. You may want to evolve it into rather than one-to-one, it could be a group meeting with your customer. But do it like a presentation, do it like a value add, right, to help the customer. Because if you have been strong with the customer already know you and your product. Now the question is, how can I add in values? Okay, to get the customer, engage with the customer so that they know that you care for them. So be creative your sales presentation, right? Maybe you need to go beyond your product, talking about helping them to solve some of the problems, right? Then you will gain the trust and credibility. I was just sharing with one of my clients and say, look, right, if all your customer also facing problem of the same thing, why can't you just organize a Zoom meeting that talking about their problems? Maybe it does not have 100% relate to your product, but at least you are telling your customer that we are here not only for the product, but we know you have this problem, we are here to share with you this information. Then the last 5 minutes, then you talk about product is fine. Okay. So I think be creative. We are moving into a new norm of selling in the next few months. Most important thing is don't panic, don't stop selling and prospecting, right? Make sure your rep are occupied their times with productive activity. That could be ranged from prospecting, customer solution brainstorming, developing new virtual selling script into actually face to virtual call selling. So ranging for this activity, you have to find a way to engage your team. Okay. So guys, any questions or not on that engaging customer part? I think in summary, if you ask me, the keywords is understand what your customer go through the pain point, restructure your sales selling pitch, okay, and think about different way to engage your customer, from email, Zoom meeting, one-to-one Zoom, or group Zoom meeting, and think about how to, right, whether you need to have virtual sales script, standardized topic of discussion, standardized email sending. These are the things that I think you should start looking at it. Yeah. Okay. So if no questions, I'm going to last few on my slide is at the end of the MCO, before everything open up, right, you must have a crisis sales plan. Okay, I think Dao asked a question. Dao, he asked about, I would like to ask your opinion on making sales pitch and engagement on YouTube for bearing product. What do you think? Okay, Dao, okay, my question is this. Your customer, where is your customer journey? You need to ask about this, you know, where is your customer journey? Do your customer go to YouTube or not? You see what I mean? Because you're selling bearing product. You are not selling consumer product. So from my understanding about your product from our previous training, right, is your customer do not look for product usually in the YouTube. In the YouTube, it's usually for commercial product, right? So if you ask my opinion, you need to find the most effective channel. You must find the use effective channel. Even though you decided to use a YouTube, how are you going to direct your customer go to YouTube? You see what I mean? Now, your customer normally is not in YouTube finding the bearing product unless you find a way to bring them in. Okay, so for me, I will probably would think about also on top of that, right? I would think about doing Zoom meeting. Okay, doing maybe group Zoom meeting to encourage maybe some demonstration of your products, some discussion of your products. Yeah. Okay, now you need to think about whether your customer go there or not. But from bearing, I would doubt your customer actually go to YouTube. If you want to do that, you have to find a way to bring them there. Okay, right. Okay. Zaidi say, I think it's important for branding, but not for sales closing. Yes, I think for YouTube, is basically, first of all, it's awareness, right? Your product is awareness. And secondly, for YouTube, it should be those products that the customer is already in the YouTube group one. I think for commercial, branding are very important. But you're talking about very niche product, like for example, how do I sell an engine, maybe a bearing? How do I sell power transmissions, right? Those kind of product, maybe not so much in YouTube because it's a bit too technical. And your client pool are not the big mass, right? Your client pool are very targeted, okay? Okay, so okay, the next thing, as I mentioned, right, you must have a plan ready, your sales plan. I think we all know in business, we must have a business plan. So if you already have a business plan, it's a good start. The next thing you have to relook at it is, any of your plan need to change or not? And before I even look into relook at changing on my business plan, I need to make assumption. As I say, scenario playing. You need to play 3 scenarios. What is the best, worst, or middle scenario? As I say, look at number. Based on all these 3 scenarios, what are the numbers it's going to be like? Another assumption I will also make, during the next 6 months, what would be my customer, how my customer going to react? My prediction is the customer will still not keen to see salespeople for the next 3 to 6 months, right? That will be some of the assumption. So once you make the assumption, you need to change your business plan content, right? You need to look at which part you need to plan, you change. So in business plan, you need to have 4 components. You need to have look in your business, which is your number. You have to look at your customer. Does your customer change at this time or not? How are you changing the engagement of your customer? Even your products, your competitor, all these things you have to re-evaluate. Take for example, if you say you have a big product range, at this point of time, do you still want to sell the same range of product or not? Or you need to change your product into something that related to COVID-19. And I've seen it with my clients, you know. My client, they used to sell X range of product. During the crisis, they straight away changed into something that is related to COVID-19 and is available in the pipeline. But they had never focused on this product. So they changed the direction straight away to focus on something they feel more potential here. Like one of you mentioned, tap on the opportunity. So you need to look at the challenges, opportunity, think about whether your product need to change. What marketing activity are you going to do different? Forget about big conferences. Forget about business, big meeting, face-to-face meeting. But if you don't have all this, look into one-to-one virtual meeting, group virtual meeting, think about your topic of engagement. How are you going to attract people to come in? What topic are you going to do? I think those should be in your plan. Okay. Communicate and motivate your rep continuously. And once you have identified your plan, cascade down, have a KPI, and refine your plan as necessary. Right? So any question at this point? Any questions? Any one of you have changed your business plan or not during this time? That you already identified what to change? Any one of you? Dao, Uma, anyone? Farid, Gurudu? Still thinking how to change? Okay, right. So I think if you're still thinking how to change, topic or engagement is interesting. Yeah, I think this one, right, is very industry related. One of the things I will probably do is find some of your top people together, maybe a very senior sales people together, to really brainstorm about this topic. Trust me, no free flow. The minute you ask your rep, go and call customer, go and call email customer, I can tell you, you have 100 reps, there will be 100 ways. But what you need to do is, you just need to have one way that agreed by the management, that drink through and is very effective. Then you roll out there. Okay, they mentioned, how will you advise on sales pitch to be able to highlight to client in the importance of the marketing during the crisis? Because branding awareness is important. They're scared to invest into online marketing and just wait for inquiry to come. What product are you saying? When you're talking about sales pitch are you selling online platform? Online marketing. Okay, I think online marketing actually is a big opportunity now. Okay, it's a big opportunity now. But for me, is because I don't really know what kind of online marketing you do, but I just talk on very general sense. If I'm doing online marketing, the first thing I will look at it is, who are the customer I want to target. Okay, right. First of all, you must have your customer segment first. Are you talking about consumer product, beauty product, or are you talking about F&B product, or are you talking about maybe even like stationery product or whatever? Okay, so I think first of all, your customer segmentation, you have to be divide first. What industry are you going in? Then you only can think about the sales pitch based on your customer segment. I think for the sales pitch currently, I think for that is actually for online marketing is pretty easy, right? You can write on the COVID-19. You can talk a little bit about their problems, right? Because for example, when you talk about sales pitch, right, you start with the problems, right? What are some of the problems they are facing? Okay, if they do not address the problem, how would their business is going to suffer? Then the third thing, after you show them the pain, right? First of all, show them the pain. Your sales pitch have to talk about the problem they may have, okay, or even opportunity they may have. Then you talk about your solution, how your solution is going to help them, right? So once you talk about solution, then you paint them a picture. How will the picture look like should they on board with your product range, right? So if I were you, I will probably invest on social marketing. I will probably do my prospecting first. Do your prospecting, do your marketing online, and then divide by, prioritize by segment, which customer you want to go for. Okay, right. Okay, for Zaidi, you mentioned that we have to re-strategize our intake since Ministry of Education has asked on the postman intake. So it's affected us. I think, Zaidi, you are in education department, education line, right? So for education line, I think even though your intake delay, but I think your prospecting should not be stopped. Okay, you're engaging with your prospect, it should be continued, right? But in the past, you could be doing education forums, education exhibition, but those are no longer possible. So if I were you, I will get all the salespeople continue to engage the prospect, And maybe to do something like online education fair, you know, on all your prospect later on, right? Yeah. But I will probably don't suggest to wait for the next intake, but start doing now, right? Even though you cannot close the sales now, but continue to engage them, and maybe even give them some, I don't know, for example, early enrollment incentive. Because one thing for sure, if I'm a student, right, I wanted to take a degree or whatever, it doesn't matter how postponed is the enrollment. I still need to take a course. I still have to decide. So if we can come together with early enrollment incentive, online platform, engaging the customer, I think it will probably work better. Okay, right. So today I hope I answer your questions, right? You identified which are the customer segment that you want to sell your online marketing, making yourself visible on your sales pitch. Remember the few components. Start with the problem. How big is your problem? Give them your solution. After you give them some solution, show them how your solution can make their life much better, can make their business much more higher. Then, you know, from there, then you sell how your program is going to work. Okay, that is the structure of the sales pitch. Okay, right. So, any question on this slide before I move on? Any more questions? Okay. So guys, you know, for this, right, in the Facebook, you can actually review this slide in the Facebook. You know, you also given material in my upcoming 90 minutes training. In my 90 minutes training, I'm going to cover some of this. Yeah, this session is just a general overview on the leadership. But later, I'm going to share with you on the 90 minutes power workshop I'm going to do that tackle on every single different individual topics. Yeah. Okay. So, guys, the other part is I want to share is that before you change your business plan, right? Few questions you need to keep in mind. As I said, the first component is customer. You need to think about what do customer need to stay successful? How can I help my customer? So here you can divide into your prospect and also for your existing customer. I think for B2B sales, I think for Day and for Chia, right? You may want to set your priority, you know. What is your key priority now? Do you want to focus on your existing customer or new customer at this point of time? And how much time you want to focus on both? I think this is something that you may need to make a choice. Like one of my clients, when I review his plan, right? Previously, his plan is to aggressively doing market expansions. You know, he wants to open up more new customers. But with the COVID-19, he changed his plan. He said that, look, my focus is not on new customer. My key focus is actually on my existing customer first. Because he can foresee his existing customer sales is going to drop, right? Because I think he foresees some negotiation is going to come up, right? He see his competitor probably will be aiming for his competitor. So he said he is going to focus 70% of her people time, right, on existing customer. New customer is only 30% of the time, right? So this is something that you need to decide, Dave and Chia, right, for your business, right? The next one is business. In business, the first thing is to look at your sales target, as I say, you know, and your forecast. And if you're a small business owner, you need to look at your reputations. Do you have enough cash to last? Okay. And assess any new challenge or opportunity. Your challenge, it could be supply. I think supply could be one of the key challenges. Could be customer engagement. The other thing you may think about, do you need to restructure your sales team or not? Because if you're going to change of your any product of focus, you may want to restructure your sales team for that, or even for save costs, you may want to restructure your sales team. Think about technology. How are you going to quickly embark on the technologies, you know, to use to engage your customer? Maybe one of the training you should do for your rep is online. You know, how are you going to engage customer online? Right. This is some of the training you should consider. Technology. But last but not least, right, you need to think about your culture and your existing process. Is my existing people behavior is going to support the changes that you're going to make or not, right? For example, just now, I think, Zaid, right, you may mention that you're in the education line, but your people may be so used to conventional face-to-face selling, education fair selling. But now if you want to move to really 50% on the virtual selling, right, or doing virtual group meeting, is your people behavior open enough to accept the changes? I think this is something that you need to openly talk to your people. What new behavior we need to drive to be successful today? Because if anything new thing you want to do, they also object. I'm sorry that you're not going to get it done. Okay, that's why in my upcoming meeting, webinar, one of the topic I'm going to talk about how I'm going to manage and lead change. Okay, so now once you have finished your crisis sales plan, right? In any business now, I think you have to think further beyond this 6 months, 12 months. Moving forward is probably beyond 12 months. You need to think about, with this COVID-19, many businesses practices is going to change. Many business practices are going to change, I can tell you that, right? Maybe people will be continue practicing social norm. Maybe, the online meeting is going to be a norm. Maybe people are going to be more comfortable to shop online. Shopping online is probably going to be another norm. Like, give me, for example, I never buy chicken, fish from the website. I never buy online for all this live stock. But during this crisis, I start buying this online. But it's going to change my practices forever. Okay, I even buy my coffee powder online. Right? So to me, it's going to be an ongoing change, at least for me, for my buying habit. What about your client? You need to assess in your business industry, what are some of the permanent changes you're going to see? Then you review your strategic plan for the next 3 to 5 years. You need to have a vision, like some of you mentioned. You need to have the vision. How is your business going to change in 3 years in order to be successful? Are you going to still selling like this? Transaction-wise? Are you going to sell online? Are you going to change your selling model? Because I notice a lot of companies, right, when they sell, right, they do not have a systematic sales process. Maybe you need us to have a systematic sales process. A lot of them still selling based on transactional, not partnership. And this is where you need to think. You need to think change, you need to think transformation, right? Even on the digital evolution side, right? Do you need to invest in more digital adoption or not? Get your people use more digital. As I mentioned, customer relationship is very important. How are you going to sell is the key. Move away from transactional selling, guys. Transactional selling, it means I just go in and I just blah about my product. I just tell you how good is my product, right? And try to close a sale. That is transactional selling. A lot of industry already move into need selling, need-based selling. There are some industry that even move into insight selling, right? Why? The difference is need-based selling is you identify your customer want and then you sell. But a lot of time, customer already know that what they want. So for the insight selling is to create a picture for your customer, right? Why they should change. The insight selling starting point is you have to advocate a point of why your customer should change and sell your customer on that point. Yeah. You strengthen your sales culture and think about your people behavior. Does it support your business in the following years? Communicate, track, train, and educate. Communicate and engagement technology. Think about technologies. Okay. Right. I think I see some comment here. Zaidi, for our existing students, we have started the online classes and classes are working fine. Somewhat participant is minimal. Okay. So I think Zaidi, right? Okay, for this prospect for education line, right? You need to use multi-pronged approach. I think, for example, other than online Zoom, before you go into online Zoom, right? Are you using your WhatsApp? Are you using the call or not? So I think you need to combine the call and WhatsApp together with your Zoom meeting. Yeah. Okay. So guys, you cannot control all the things that happen to you, but you can actually control your reactions. And this is where, you know, we need to control our reaction by being fast and do the necessary. So I think the last two questions that I have in mind for you is that if you're managing a sales team, I talk about sales leadership now. Think about it. Are your manager aligned with you on the new direction? If you have new directions, do they have the business acumen, right, to really talk to customer, to connect the customer on the pain point into your solution? Do they have that capability? Do they coach their salespeople? Even for salespeople, can they sell effectively or not? In a normal business time, a mediocre person can still sell. Mediocre salesperson, but in a crisis situation, you need a top salespeople to sell well. Like many of you identified, customer will be very cautious to change, buy new product, to spend money. So in order for them to convince they have to change the product or spend money, the salespeople got to be really good, able to tell the customer what they should change, why they should change. If they were decided to change, why they should pick you. Okay, and after they pick you, they must be able to sell. They are going to deliver the commitment the product is going to offer. So can your salespeople do these three things or not? I think these are the questions that you need to ask. As I mentioned, culture. Do they have the right performer mindset? If you have never drive culture consciously in your leadership role, right, it's time to think about how you're going to drive your culture systematically in a structured manner. Okay, so now after all this presentation, let me ask you, what is the biggest challenge in managing your sales team at this moment? Guys, what is the biggest? What is the biggest challenges? Can I have some response? In managing your sales team in the next 3 to 12 months? Focus and motivations, okay. Thank you. Any others? Directions? Change philosophy? Okay, good. Okay, let me share with you one story. Okay, this one happened, I think, about 5 months ago, when I was engaged to help one company to do sales leadership training. So I asked the CEO, I asked him, what is the key challenges for you in managing your team? What do you see are the gap in your sales leadership, team, because below him, he has all the head of department, he has all the sales manager. And he shared with me this. He said, I feel like I'm alone pulling the company and the whole team forward. He feels he's alone. I'm the only one who are pushing the cart. I keep on pushing to bring the company forward. But I'm frustrated because all my team are standing by the side. They are like bystander. If I don't push, they don't move. So along the way, he said, I have to throw people into the cart. But that makes it even heavier for me to push. There are also incidences I have to throw people out of the organization. But it is so tiring. So guys, if you hear about this CEO concessions, right, do you echo with what he said or not? Have you had this feeling in your management journey, when you management a team? Do you have that? Do you have that? That you feel you're all alone pushing forward, your people are, stand by, push, then they move, push, then they move. And you feel so alone in this journey. Okay. So if you don't have, which is good, but in my opinion, if you are leading a team, right, the bigger your team is, the more important you have to learn the methodology on how are you going to pull the team forward together. The keyword is together, not you alone pushing it, because it's going to be so stressful and it's also going to be so tiring and not optimal.